it's January 1st, 2023, day 1 of 75 Hard. I'm ready to learn a lot and challenge myself. 75 Hard is totally making me like actually plan ahead and cook for myself, but I feel like that's the key to healthy eating. I'm like looking forward to more than I feel like I ever have working out. Like I feel great. I'm just thinking about like how good I actually feel inside right now. My mouth literally like cannot fully move because I'm so cold. With a fever last night, I've literally been in bed all day. Like I just feel so bad to the point where I was like in tears.
Most people won't be able to finish the program. This isn't supposed to be something that people can finish. This is supposed to be a program that literally less than 1% of people truly complete, but that 1% is 1,000,000% better for it. That's the goal of this. It's not easy.
It's called 75 Hard for a reason. Not everyone should try this and not everyone can try this. I tried 75 Hard starting January 1st, 2023. 1/1/23. And it's currently March. Did I successfully complete it to a T? No. I cannot credit myself for fully completing this challenge, and if I did, I would be discrediting the people that have all in completed every single day 100% for 75 consecutive days. But do I feel like a failure? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you need to know why. Here's everything you need to know. Like many people, I heard of 75 Hard simply because of the virality of it. I heard about it online and just decided I wanted to try it, right? It is a mental toughness challenge and I wanted to try it, not to lose weight, but just to see if I could do it. There's also a 75 Soft that likewise went viral, and it's essentially a version of 75 Hard in which people take the rules and accommodate them to fit their lifestyle. But I wanted the full challenge, of course. Of course, knowing me, I wanted the full challenge. However, I did not do enough research ahead of time. All I did was Google the rules to it, and that was my first mistake. I specifically remember clicking on the website that the creator had made for the challenge, not even realize that he was the creator, and I just kept scrolling and scrolling, and there was just testimony and testimony, and so I ended up actually just clicking out of the website because I didn't want to enter my email for something. All I wanted to do was Google the rules, so I literally clicked on the source I needed, but I just didn't read it all because there was so much mumbo jumbo I didn't want to get past. The 5 components of 75 Hard are: you must complete 2 45-minute workouts, 1 must be done outside and they are not to be done the second one immediately following the first. 2, you must drink a full gallon of water. 3, you must follow a diet with no cheat meals and no alcohol. 4, you must read 10 pages a day of a non-fiction or self-improvement book. And 5, you must take a progress picture every single day of your body. It sounds straightforward, right? Each rule sounds like, okay, I understand. However, there are a lot of components and guidelines and kind of variables that aren't explicitly said in those 5 rules that you need to be aware of in order to fully do the challenge how it is intended to be done. Because if you mess up any part of it, you are considered to have failed. Essentially, one of the main and most important rules of 75 Hard is that if you miss one day, any rule or anything is not fully completed to the extent it is supposed to be every single day. If you mess up, you have to start over. And it took me almost a month to even realize this was part of the challenge. But that is fully my own fault. I didn't do the research ahead of time. I just Googled the rules and was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. But when you Google the rules, well, because the 5 components don't say like, hey, rule number whatever, if you miss a day you have to start over. Well, I didn't even know that. The creator, Andy Friscella, has several podcast episodes and a whole book written about this challenge. And if you fully want to try this, you must listen to those in order to understand the full extent that everything is supposed to be completed by. And that is like the main thing, the main point he gets across is that it's all about consistency. And if you miss any tiny thing one day, you must start over and keep starting over until you can do every single thing 100% for 75 days in a row. Like that is literally the main point of this challenge, is consistency despite challenge and difficulties that show up in your day-to-day life. And listen, I could fully lie to you and just be like, hey, I completed 75 Hard. Here are my pictures, like here's how it went, whatever. How would you know? But I started this with full honesty and transparency, and what value would I provide to you or to myself if I lied and didn't just like fully tell you everything, you know? The creator of the 75 Hard challenge, Andy Friscella, guarantees that if you fully complete this challenge 75 days, no compromises, no substitutions, no cheating, whatever, you will be a changed person by the end of it.
If they do what they're supposed to do, it will absolutely 100%, no question, produce the result that it promises to produce.
Absolutely. I have no doubt.
And I do believe that. I do believe if you're someone who goes all in and can actually complete this insanely hard challenge, like the payoff is probably incredible. He is so adamant that it is a mental toughness challenge, and I do believe it's so tough on the mental, but I do also believe it's a physical challenge, and you kind of can't really have one without the other regarding what these rules are. A lot of the rules are physical. And of course, when you see people talk about it, you see the physical changes because that's the easiest thing to measure, right? You can't really see people's mental toughness growth as much as you can see a change in someone's physical body. Because he is so intense, I completely understand people that want to try this challenge but want to modify it. But I do think if you are doing this challenge and you are modifying it, you should always address it by 75 soft, because after attempting it, like, I realized how hard it really is to keep up with something like this, and I don't think anyone that actually completes this should be discredited. So I am fully supportive of someone trying this challenge and modifying it, but that's 75 soft, right? Like, your own personal version is 75 soft. If you want to do 75 hard, like, you have to do what he says, essentially. It's just kind of the fairness of the challenge. Of course, because I was attempting 75 hard and all that came with it, although I am telling you my journey and that I did not fully complete it with success, I did title all my videos around this challenge with the words of 75 hard because that is what I was going for. I didn't change the rules. I failed at some of them, but I didn't change them. During my time, here is what I did right. The workouts. I didn't miss a workout. I even went out in the snow. I went out in the ice. I did take a tumble once or twice. We literally had like freezing rain the other day, so the stuff that isn't melted, there are ice patches and I am falling. But I strapped on the snow boots. I live in Wisconsin and I was outside for 45 minutes a day. Some days when it was below 20 degrees out, I would break up the workouts to be 2 20-some minute workouts outside because it was so cold, but I was doing this, right? Andy even says like, hey, get outside and go for a walk. He totally approves of that, which is really great because I am a huge walker, as you may know, and that's what I did outside. My outside workout was just a walk, and that is fully okay. The water. I find that if you work out enough, the water isn't as hard. However, I actually have always been a pretty good water drinker. I know a lot of people struggle with this, but the water wasn't too bad for me, especially with how much I was working out. The diet, I followed a diet that I knew would be beneficial for me. It was not super strict. I do try to eat high protein, eat the rainbow, eat as many whole foods as possible. I stay as far away from like super processed foods as possible. However, I didn't eat sweets or fried food, anything like that. I cooked a lot for myself. I ate a lot of whole foods. I learned a lot as I did this. I cooked a lot for myself. I did well on the day-to-day basis with my eating. Also, drinking is a very social aspect, at least in my life, and I did go to several bars and social occasions, and I was in fact the only one there not drinking, which I can't say is the most fun, and I also did miss out on things, but I am happy to say that this is something I did successfully complete. I did not have any alcohol, and that can be really tough with social pressures. The reading, I did become obsessed with Atomic Habits. I feel like if you're doing this challenge, you have to read Atomic Habits if you haven't. I did read that, and then from there, I went into audiobooks, which we'll touch on. Now, what I did wrong, I did do 1 rest day a week, and I stated this from the beginning, that was my plan, but I'm pretty sure that he doesn't allow that. However, you cannot convince me that that's good for you. I do fully believe you should have at least 1 rest day per week. The diet. So I took a trip to Texas, and I did tell you from the beginning I was gonna have a couple times where I didn't follow 75 hard, and now realizing that that's just so like you can't do the actual real full challenge with that mindset, it was incorrect, right? Like that wasn't allowed. That's not following the challenge. It's just not how it is. Of course, I think that's a healthy thing to do. I'm going on a trip. Yeah, I'm gonna eat out a couple times. I've never been there. I'm gonna enjoy it. However, that is black and white, just not following the challenge. To be even more specific, we stayed at an Airbnb so that I could cook every day and stay healthy, but we did go out for dinner 1 time and we got ice cream twice. So technically over my trip to Texas, I did have 3 cheats, which is obviously not allowed. All the other days outside of that, I did great. I learned so much. I cooked so many new recipes. I tried so many different things. I even learned about macros, which is wild because I just was always so scared and intimidated of what that word even meant. I learned how important protein is. I learned how to get more protein in my diet. I learned so much by pushing myself to eat as best as possible. However, that being said, I had a pizza and garlic bread night with my family one night when I was in my hometown. And that obviously is cheating, and you are not allowed cheat meals. So I did mess up a minimal amount. I did really well, and I am so proud of myself. But again, black and white, that is not following the challenge. Reading, I kind of knew this would be how it is, but I did find out after listening to his podcast episodes, audiobooks are a cheat and you're not allowed to do them. For the reading, it must be a hardcover book. So that is another thing I did wrong. And part of that is my own fault for not doing the research ahead of time, like I already admitted. Next, progress pictures. This is probably what you would think think the easiest, number one, easiest thing to do of this challenge, you literally take a photo of yourself every single day. This is the first thing I failed on. I didn't even make it a month. I went to Texas in January and I straight up forgot. And then as I kept not doing it, I just kept not doing it. And that is something I failed on so fast, which is just so ironic because it just seems so easy and I just yet didn't do it. I have no excuses. Another major thing I did wrong is I got the stomach flu. I was in bed literally crying because I was in so much pain, so tired, so drained, so exhausted, so uncomfortable. And I was not gonna push my body to do 2 workouts a day. I could barely even keep my eyes open. There's no way I was gonna work out. And that's okay. Like I have hot and cold flashes, my back hurts, like I'm just so uncomfortable. Like I'm not asking for a pity party. I just wanna be real with you that this happened. This can just happen to you out of the blue, right? I didn't do anything to get sick. However, this is a scenario where because I didn't complete it, I would have had to start over, right? I would have had to just quit this week and then the next week be like, all right, here's day 1 again. There's no way around it. Number one, if you push yourself when you're that sick to do these tasks, you're just gonna become even more sick or maybe hurt yourself. But that's just the name of the game. That's the part of the challenge. Life comes at you, and if you can't make it out, well, you gotta start over. So that just sucked. Like, that just sucked. There's no way around it. That just sucked. Given that I technically failed at this challenge, I learned so much. These past 75 days, I believe I did so much. I did amazing things for myself. I worked so hard, and although according to Andy's words in his challenge, I did fail, there's so much to unpack, and I'm so happy that I did try this and I took the past 75 days to push myself and step out of my comfort zone to try something super, super hard, even if it didn't go as planned. I think this is really the best part of the video and the best part of the challenge, so here is what I learned. Everything is better when it's a choice and it's not because you have to do it. When you're doing the challenge, the biggest part I hated of this challenge is as I got further and further along, I wanted things simply because I couldn't have them, right? If you, for example, super easy example, don't eat chocolate, right? It is so much easier to pass chocolate because you don't do that, you choose not to do that, it's just not part of your lifestyle, versus you can't do that. It's a simple 1-word change, but it is the world of a difference and such a different mindset when you choose not to do something because it's just not part of who you are and what you do, versus when you can't do something. The next thing is that you do have to realize that there are so many ups and downs within the 75-day span. Even if I didn't go on a trip, like I got sick, like there's things that happen, and the point of this challenge is consistency. And what makes it hard is that there are so many things that can come up on a given day that make it so much more impossible to complete these things. Even if picking apart, you know, a task seems really easy for you, it's all about consistency. And life is never perfect. Life is never normal for 75 days in a row. That's a long time. However, the point of this is not to wait for things to be perfect and to do things regardless of circumstance. And although I did fail, right, I got sick, I didn't complete the tasks, and I didn't start over, I do feel like on the day-to-day basis, I pushed myself, and even if things felt hard, like I still did them, and I was so disciplined, and like nobody can take that away from me, even if I, quote, failed the challenge. The next thing is that I can have a healthy lifestyle that pushes me and that benefits me without following a challenge. You know, maybe not everyone can do that on a day-to-day basis, but I feel like not only because I create content around this topic, but I just feel like I am driven because I have been in very unhealthy situations and lifestyles that I am on a given day just motivated and happy to make myself feel healthy and treat it with love and care. And of course I have bad days. Of course I have days where I don't want to do that stuff, but I don't need to rely on a challenge or rules to treat myself well and live a healthy lifestyle. Some people may need that push, and sometimes I do, but on a day-to-day basis I really don't. However, this challenge did get me to read Atomic Habits, and that is something that I will have on repeat forever, and so I'm very thankful for that because I don't know if I would have ever purchased it without attempting this. So I'm very thankful for that. And if you haven't read it, you should. There's also an Audible version. You gotta listen to it. It's amazing. It just puts a fire under your ass, I swear. I love it. Next, I do believe this challenge kind of like reinforced my belief of being open-minded. I feel like I am a generally open-minded person, and I have gotten better at that as I've gotten older. But because you have to deal with things in unfavorable circumstances, you have to kind of explore other options, right? You grow the most when you're outside of your comfort zone. And when you're dealing with something that's tough and you have to think of new solutions, solutions or new ways to how am I gonna get outside today? How am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? Reworking things to make them like fit in your life. I do think that it opened my mind a lot more and not only like made me stress less about the small things because you realize that you can do harder things than you think you can, but it also just kind of like helped me brainstorm. The next thing, and I have believed this for a while, but when I'm on such a good streak of working out regularly, eating well, and just taking care of myself, when I am so consistent with that, I want the bad habits way less. I crave the sugar way less. I skip workouts way less, right? He talks about how mental toughness, and I think all habits, are very perishable in terms of like, okay, you let it slide and skip it once, it's a mistake, but twice, 3 times, 4 times, it's so much harder to crawl out of the hole. Once you keep it up, it's so much easier to stick to it. And you learn that with time. It's like a, you know, you don't use it, you lose it type thing. 21 days to stick to a habit, maybe, but when you make it your lifestyle, it's so much better than that. However, 75 hard would never be my complete lifestyle, so I don't know, it's not necessarily a 75 hard thing, but it kind of reinforced the idea and like reminded me of that. Like, hey, when you are staying on track and doing well for yourself, you're the happiest, you feel your best, and you want to do bad things less. Another thing I learned is that you may not need a gallon of water a day. I do not need a gallon of water a day. I can do it if I need to do it, but like I'm 5'1". There's no way I need to be drinking 128 ounces of water a day. That is so much. I think the whole rule, half of your body weight in ounces, is like an appropriate amount of water to drink a day. And that is, that's not a gallon for me. Let's just be real, that's not a gallon for me. That being said, this is a very not one size all approach. Although you have the freedom to choose your workouts, choose your diets, whatever, in these podcast episodes, he does talk very restrictive about what you eat. Although you know, you get to choose a diet, it's kind of contradictory almost. You know, he's very intense, he's very all or nothing, and I understand why, and that this is a mental toughness challenge. However, it's not for everyone. That being said, let's get into more of what I don't like about it. For some people, this challenge may be very toxic, and if you have any type of issues, you know, with body image or anything unhealthy about an eating disorder or unhealthy relationship with exercise or anything like that, you should 100% not try this. It's only gonna further those issues. If I would have tried this 2 years ago, it probably would have been very bad for me. And I would not be sitting here talking about it now the way that I am. I probably would be feeling really bad about myself, and my body would be a little messed up, as well as my mental health. Another part of it is the all or nothing mindset. I think all or nothing with anything in your life can be very toxic, especially talking about health here, right? If you have to miss out on the little joys of life, or, you know, birthday parties, or celebrating with your family just because you're doing this challenge, that's honestly sad to me, and it's something I don't like. In my head, a challenge is not worth that, especially because being unhealthy for a day is not gonna screw up your entire lifestyle. It's just being all or nothing with anything is very toxic and can send you down a spiral. Also, in the podcast episode, he claims it's like the way to change and transform your life, but I just don't think it is. Like I said, it is not a one-size-all approach, and I know, like, speaking from experience, right? I have a whole, you know, kind of weight loss, like life-changing journey video on my YouTube channel, and you would know that I didn't have this, you know, big, all-in, crazy, intense life change in order to get where I'm at. It was little by little, and I understand his intent with this is like, okay, some people, if they are trying to change little by little, they're never gonna make progress because, you know, they might make excuses or like not grow because they won't push themselves enough, things like that. I understand it, but I feel like he's very much set on like, this is the way to do things, and I just don't think it is the way. It might be a way, but it's not the way. I know I didn't fully successfully complete this, so it's kind of like, who are you to talk about all these things if like you didn't actually do it? Like, you know, how do you even have these opinions? But I do think from an outside perspective, and being through all that I have in my past few years of life, I do think it's a valid point. Also, keep in mind this isn't realistic for some people. Like, some people have kids or in-office 9-to-5 jobs they have to commute to every day. I don't have that. I work out at home. I have resources at home. I'm very lucky to have all of those resources, but that being said, this just isn't feasible for some people, and there is a fine line between making excuses to push yourself to do things like this versus it physically just not necessarily fitting in your lifestyle, and that is something that you kind of have to make a judgment call for and be self-aware and strict about. However, it's just not feasible for every single person. And yes, you know, the weather in my climate is difficult, and that's a barrier I had to cross and stuff like that. But there are other circumstances that could make it more dangerous or unsafe or just not realistic. There's probably much more that I have learned, but these are really the main points. After talking about what it taught me and what I didn't like about it though, you probably want to see my progress pictures, because although I didn't take them every day, of course I have before and after, so I will show you them that, and I do feel like I'm in great shape and I'm really happy with how my body has changed. My first pictures were taken, of course, right after Christmas, right after New Year's, right after a night of drinking, so it's like I wasn't in the best shape. I do feel great now, and I will continue to keep practicing, you know, good eating and daily movement and whatnot, and I plan to keep up my figure and make it even better, because why not? I still always do the 12-3-30, and I'm actually getting into lifting, which is exciting. I walk my dog every day. I'm just finding new things to spice it up and just enjoying the process, honestly. This is where I'm at, and yeah, it's great. But all of that, would I try it again? Would I do it? Would I give it another shot? Honestly, I have such mixed feelings. I keep going back and forth. I love to push myself. I love a challenge, and I love to document it, because how fun is it to see your growth and your progress? And I'd love to have a healthy lifestyle. But the more research I do on it, the more I'm just like, is it worth it? I love the idea of maybe doing this for 30 days. I think that's very realistic for me. I think I could stick to it. I think it'd be great. However, that's not the challenge. And that's, you know, less than half the time, so it's probably way easier. Either way, if you're considering doing this, I really just encourage you to do all the research you can and to make good choices and just to be in the right mindset before you even start trying. The thing is though, it's like, am I still proud of myself? Yes. Did I learn a lot? Yes. And do I believe I'm still disciplined even though I failed at completing this? Yes. 100%. Again, I'm not trying to claim all this success with, you know, doing this journey, whatever. That's why this video is not titled like, I completed 75 hard, or like, I won 75 hard, right? I want to call it a journey because I want you to know I messed up, but I still want you to know that I learned so much, and I want to show you my progress, because isn't that fun? And cool to see that even though I technically failed, I still did so much. And I just don't even like the word fail, because I don't know, these past few months were incredible. But then also, knowing I tried this and, you know, technically failed or whatever, I don't feel ashamed and I don't feel like a failure. It honestly just kind of fuels me and makes me want to keep going and keep doing what I'm doing and just living day by day, doing things that make me feel good and feel my best, and keep pushing, because, you know, your fitness, your health, whatever, it's always an ongoing journey. You're never at like your final point, you know, it's up and down, and life throws crazy things at you. So it just makes me want to keep, you know, fighting the good fight and just living and doing this day by day and just like spreading this lifestyle, because I love it so much, and I just love finding things that work for me and that make me feel good. And I don't know, it just makes me want to keep going. So I don't feel like a failure, and I am happy that I tried this. Would I recommend it? I mean, maybe for some people, but I'm not gonna say yes or no, because it does depend on you, your situation, your circumstances, your mental health, your physical health. It depends on so much, and I cannot make that decision for you. Only you can. But yeah, here is everything I learned from trying 75 hard from someone who failed. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope you took something away from this. I'm happy I tried it, and I'm happy to share this with you. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm always rooting for you. Please subscribe if you have not. I make lots of stuff like this, and I hope to see you in my next one.